government appears to have responded to the concerns of the group, saying it will inject some $2 billion dollars actually into the economy soon. While Information Minister Oppong Nkrumah indicated that about some $750 million is expected from the Afro-Exim Bank, which will hit the accounts of the Bank of Ghana this week, whilst that of the cocoa syndicated loan will be added on, which is amounting to some $1.3 billion dollars into the economy. Let's just bring you a sense of what he indicated on your screens right now. We'll bring that to you shortly, but first of all, let's bring in Kofi Ajay, who is with our research desk. Kofi, help us with the disclosure we are getting from the Information Minister. How crucial will these amounts be in terms of stabilizing the cedi?
Well, all has to do with our foreign reserve, which is currently around $7.7 billion. So last year around this same time, we had reserves worth $11.4 billion US dollars, which declined to $9.8 billion somewhere in January 2022 this year. Then in July, this had dwindled down from the 9.8 billion I'm talking about to now 7.7 billion. And if you look at the current data, it is still depleting. But we are learning that we will be getting some 750 million US dollars as foreign inflows from one syndicated loan from a group of banks, the Afro-Exim Bank. And then also we are expecting 1.5 billion US dollars from the cocoa syndicated loan. If you add this should give us around 2.25 billion US dollars. And if you add that to our current reserve of 7.7 billion, we will move to now 9.95 billion US dollars. And this may push our reserves from 3.4 months of import cover to some 4.2 months of import cover, depending on the prevailing demand and supply forces.
So how vibrant is our foreign reserve right now?
Well, it's not as vibrant as we started the year. So we started the year with import cover of somewhere around 4 months of import cover. Now this has depleted to 3.3 months of import cover. And some experts say it is even somewhere around 2 or 1.4 months of import cover. But the data we have, which is as of July 2022, we still are hovering around 3.4 months of import cover. This simply means that as a country, we do not print dollars. But if you look at the amount of dollars we have in our coffers as a country, this can afford us some 3 months of import cover. If holding other things constant, we are not getting any further foreign exchange or inflows. But if you also look at what this is linked to, which is a depreciation of the cedi, looking at the historical data, this is the time that the cedi should actually be plateauing when it comes to depreciation. So from the first short peak around April, June, this should be plateauing around this time, compared to the major one that we usually see around November and December. So last year around this same time, the cedi had lost just 1.6% of its value to the dollar. And if you value it in monetary terms, this should be around, it wasn't even up to 1 peso. And if you compare this same time last year to this year, the cedi, looking at the current average market value of the cedi in a span of 8 months, it has actually lost more than 40 times the value it lost last year. And if we should do some, forecast, if the cedi is losing, this amount of its value, which translates into about 50 pesos a month. And so if you look at the whole year, there should be somewhere around 6 cedis a year. So holding other things constant, if the measures Bank of Ghana puts in place, we don't see it working there, we should see $1 is to some 12 cedis by the end of December.
How about the injection of the $2 billion?
The injection of the $2 billion will only go a long way to affect our foreign reserve. And when you have foreign reserve, that's when you can actually, give out dollars to the BDCs, those who are bringing pharmaceuticals to actually also have that space to operate in terms of importation. But we are, gearing towards December, and then the demand on the dollar is actually going to increase. But it's also going to depend on the rate of suction or the absorption or the amount of supply force that we have in the system and the demand as well, that will pull this 2 billion. It could be that this 2 billion will come in the system, but the rate at which the businesses in the system will absorb this could be high to the extent that to send us back to the 7.1 or 7.7 billion dollars of reserve that we have at the moment.
Isaac, thank you. Courage Mate is an economist joining us now via Zoom. Courage, here we are. Government seeking to bang its hopes on the syndicated loan and the receipts that may be arriving by today, latest tomorrow. Would that really spare, some confidence in the city and make the figures begin to look good for us?
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for having me, Blessed. If you look at the trajectory or the flow, the size of the flows that will be coming in against the size of the demand on the market, you will say that one of the downsides to how the flows will be coming is that they will be staggered, they will be tranched. And so even that $750 million, if they are to come, I don't think they will come in full. And even the cocoa syndicated loan, if they were coming, when they start to come from October, they will also be coming in tranches. And that could make demand continue to overwhelm supply. But overall, putting it in totality, that should add up to $2 billion. And holding the current levels constant, we should be hovering around $9 billion to $10 billion by the time these flows come in. Ordinarily, they should be enough to reduce the pace of depreciation. And we are hopeful that this should be some sufficient support for the cedi, but this is for the supply side. We should also not lose sight of the fact that the central bank has announced some aggressive measures, not just the policy rate hike, but also they are tightening the cash reserve requirement for commercial banks, which should drain significant amounts of cedi from the market. And the implementation period would actually span the period in which we would expect the cocoa syndicated loan to be coming through. So whilst the supply side is being supported by the cocoa syndicated flows, the demand will be anchored by the tightening of cedi liquidity. And this should help to slow down the pace of depreciation. And
of course, government, I wish we could just bring you the words of the information minister on the screens right now, but we know that he is in fact urging people to begin selling their cedi. It's part of the confidence from the side of government in terms of how they believe all of this foreign exchange will help to boost the value of the Ghana cedi. You disagree with the minister on that?
Well, I'll come to that a bit. But one point we need to also emphasize is that beyond the domestic challenges we have,
right,
and which are impacting the local currency, and these are the main issues impacting the local currency, I must stress. But we should also not forget that there are external factors also hitting the currency hard. Now, I was just looking at the dollar index, and currently the dollar index is at over 108 points. Now, the dollar index is just a raw number that we use to track the strength of the dollar or the performance of the dollar against global currencies. At the start of this year, the dollar index was at around 96 points. Currently, it's risen by almost 13% year to date to over 108 points. That tells you that the dollar has strengthened against currencies globally. And at 108 points, this is the highest level since 2002. So we've not seen this level of the dollar index.
Yeah, I mean, that fact has been established.
This is largely coming from...
That fact has been established, right?
Exactly. So we need to also emphasize the fact that we might be talking a lot about the domestic factors driving the cedi down, but let's not lose sight of the fact that rising interest rates, rising dollar strength also will continue to detract from the cedi.
We know that the BOG measures, for instance, will take off and begin. We're expecting that the effects may come into some fruition in the coming months. But I was just pointing to the confidence on the side of government's monetary policy as well, and I wanted to take your thoughts on that.
Well, so until you have a strong signal that the market believes in, it is not one that you want to be very confident that there would be correction in the value of the local currency. Now, the general feeling is that the depreciation has overshot its long-run trend. We agree with that. Essentially, what it means is that if you get some strong buffers coming in and the market believes that they are strong enough, we will start to see those who are holding dollars offloading their dollars, and then that should cause some correction in the value of the cedi. Hence, the minister making that comment. But then until the market sees that assurance on the reserves side, it's difficult to envisage that situation right now.
What's your outlook?
Well, the outlook is that we still are bearish on the local currency. We are bullish that these $2 billion coming in would do something to support the cedi. The cedi. But currently, we are bearish on the cedi because it hasn't come in yet. And even though there are promises that it will come in, we know how long the Treasury syndicated loan has taken. We know that it is not fully cleared yet. And even when all these are cleared, they will come in tranches. And so we don't want to get ourselves ahead of ourselves currently, and we still remain cautious on the cedi until we see some strong inflows coming in. And also not losing sight of the fact that there is the bigger picture of an IMF program which is taking time for negotiation to start. That's also another angle to the whole discussion.
And you feel that will complement it or otherwise, the IMF program?
Well, the longer it takes for us to get positive news from that side filtering into the markets, the more it will weigh on the local currency, and so we want to see something positive. If we get positive news from that side, it will make significant positive.
At least indications from the experts, the first quarter of next year, least, right?
That would be good news if we get the program up and running by the first quarter of next year. That will be running. Beyond that point, it's not going to look good at all.
Courage Martin, thank you for joining us here on The Pulse. We'll take a short break here. When we return, we'll talk about some more issues, including the hike in tariffs. Please stay.